Boots, first of all, congratulations on signing an extended deal, of course, until the summer of 2026. Now to keep you at the club for until then, but I mean, from your point of view, first of all, how does it feel to get things extended and get that all wrapped up?
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, there was a lot of conversation that went on over summer. Obviously, people know in football it's never as easy as being like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that. A lot of conversations were had, obviously, with the gaffer and stuff, and about plans for me going forward. And obviously, I think you can see the way we've started the season as well. I'm happy to have signed here. I'm buzzing to still be here, and I think that's starting to show on the pitch as well. Like the faith the gaffer's put in me. Obviously, the position I'm playing in now, it was all part of the conversation I had in summer. So, all good so far.
Yeah, and what were the main factors really in making you take that decision to sign the extended deal?
I think last year was probably my best year I've had in football and my most enjoyable, obviously finishing at Wembley, and I feel like we had unfinished business come the end of the season last year from where we finished, and like I said, conversation with the gaffer, we're going to go even stronger this year and try and kick on even more. So when you're happy, when you're enjoying your football, when you're playing your best football, that's where you want to stay, and that's ultimately what I wanted to do, so that's why I wanted to stay here and kick on.
Yeah, and you mentioned the conversations that you had with Louis and Rob, of course, ahead of this season, but how is it as a player as well when you get offered that kind of extended contract, I suppose, from the coaching team? It's a bit of a sign of trust from their point of view in you as well.
Yeah, 100%. It was massive for me. Obviously, I already had another year left on my contract, but the faith they put in me to want to keep me at this football club, to make sure I didn't go elsewhere, was something that I wanted to repay the faith for. And like I said, when you've got a management team that you get on so well with and you play your best football under, you'd be silly to get away from that. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned enjoying your football here as well, but what is it particularly that makes you enjoy playing at Gateshead so much?
I think now we've built a reputation around this club about how good a football team we are, and for me, everyone wants to play football for all the right reasons, so playing the right way, winning games, and ultimately that's what we did last year. Even games we lost, I was coming away from games enjoying them, which is very rare in football, because sometimes you come away from a game, you've not played good football, you've been battered, you hate it. But last year, even games we lost, I was coming away thinking, we've deserved to win the game today, and that's just football. We're on the wrong end of a bad decision, something went wrong in the game, but the way we play and the way we go about things day in, day out, the relaxed environment, how close we all are, and then come a Saturday, we're all in it together, and just the style of football we play and the results are shown on the pitch now from that. So everything about it was why I wanted to stay. So.
Yeah, I mean, you touched a little bit on it there, I suppose, in terms of perhaps when you may be playing in a team where you maybe don't enjoy the style hugely, it's very much results driven. I know Rob always is mentioned it's more about the performance and how you get the results maybe than the results themselves all the time. But how much does that enjoyment matter as a player for you?
I think it's massive. Everyone will say when they get to the end of the career, it's a short career, you've got to enjoy it. You don't want to look back on your career and say you didn't enjoy it and you let it pass you by. So obviously, speaking to my dad about that as well, he was like, you're playing your best football, you're enjoying it. That's exactly what you want. You don't want to be waking up every morning going into training thinking, oh, I can't be bothered today, or it's going to be a long day, we're not going to do this, or going into games thinking, oh, we're going to get battered today, I'm not going to enjoy it. Literally every day you come into training, you're buzzing to be around the lads, you're buzzing to see the staff, and then come game day, you just can't wait for each game. Every Friday night, we're in the house buzzing for a game, and that's very rare. It doesn't always happen like that in football. Obviously, it's easy to say from the outside that you're playing football, you should enjoy it, but when you're in a team that's struggling, that's not always the case. So.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned in a programme interview last season that you'd sort of had a bit of a period of time where you maybe weren't playing too much, whether it was injuries or what have you, and you couldn't obviously get on the pitch because of that. But now that you've had obviously the season and a bit here, and as well at Maidstone before that, where you've been playing week in, week out, does that make you almost kind of appreciate being in a side that you enjoy playing in a little bit more as well? Yeah,
100%. It's them times where you're struggling and where you're low that I look back on now and like can't believe where I was 3-4 years ago to now. The enjoyment I have, the amount of games I've played the last 3 years, I think averaged like 40 games for the last 3 seasons now. So from not playing, I played 6 games I think in 18 months at one point, and then I've played like 120, 130 in the last 3 years. Like, it's a complete difference, and you kind of look back on them times and you're thankful for where you are now, because it's never as good as it is. Obviously winning at Wembley topped it last year, but it's very rare you get moments like that in football. So to be able to experience that, and then to carry on how we've started this year, like the enjoyment just makes you appreciate the game even more, and how not how lucky we are, because you have to work hard every day, but how grateful you are for the good times when you've had times like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on this season a little bit there in terms of from a personal point of view. Obviously, the assist tally's been catching everyone's eye so far. I know the league have put a few tweets out about it as well, but I think I was just having a check on the stats, and I think he hit 5 assists last season. You've already at least matched that this season, but what do you think that the reason for that has really been?
I just think I know, obviously last year coming into a new group, it's never easy, but it's probably the easiest group I've come into with how close and that everyone was. But now I'm in a position where I'm so confident going onto the pitch. I'm not worried about anyone. I know exactly how we play, the way the structure is, the confidence the manager puts in me, the confidence my teammates put in me, and then I'm on the same page as a lot of lads now in terms of the relationships on the pitch as well as off the pitch. I think it just helps and equates to play my best football. I think that's where I'm at, even in my whole career now. I'm probably playing the best football I ever have done, and hopefully that continues.
Yeah, and you talk about feeling like you're playing the best football that you have done, but even when you look back to the start of last season, and you mentioned they're coming into a new group and a new environment here, but how do you even feel like you've sort of evolved since the start of last season if you kind of reflect on the player you were then and the player you are now?
I think probably now I feel like I take more responsibility on myself in a sense. I've been here for a year now. I understand exactly how we play. We've not got an old group, so I'm 26, so the gaffer probably looks at me as like a senior pro in this changing room. So I think that's where I flourish as well. I've always liked to think I'm a leader on the pitch and stuff. So, and then obviously trying to take games by the scruff of the neck, that's a way of being a leader, and I think that's what I'm trying to do this year. Obviously, there's times where last year I was probably in and out of the team as well, which is football, whereas now I just feel like I'm enjoying every minute, and obviously that leadership role as well. Obviously, I took the armband off Kent's on Saturday when he went off, but I feel like that's something that has made me a better player coming from the gaffer and Louis as well, that they've put that trust in me to be like a leader in the group.
Yeah, and we mentioned that the positive start of the season for yourself personally, but obviously positive for the team as well, sitting top of the league at the minute and unbeaten in 6. Obviously won the 3 games that you've had here at home as well, but what do you feel like that positive start to the season really has kind of come down to? Is it a bit of a combination of factors? Is there one thing you can really think that, yeah, we've done that really well and that's kind of led to positive results and performances?
I can't really put a finger on it initially, but I think the way everyone came back in pre-season, the shape, fitness levels, even from day one, everyone was at it. Even we had a lot of new lads coming into the group. All the new lads that have come in, not only good players but good characters, and that's vital for this changing room, because it's very rare you have a change room like we've got where everyone gets on so well. There's not one person that you could single out that you wouldn't want to spend time with away from football, and I think that's very rare. So all the lads that have come in, as well as the lads that were still here last year, we had that still core group from last year that set the standards and set the principles when we came in for the way we wanted to play, and then the new lads have just took to that so well. So it's just a combination of everyone being on the same page, everyone coming back ready to go and trying to impress and up the standards that were from last year.
Yeah, and on a personal note, again, of course, being named by the supporters as their Player of the Month for August. I know, players don't tend to necessarily look at individual accolades as their primary driving factor in terms of when they go out on the pitch on a Saturday, but it's always nice to get that recognition as well from your point of view, I imagine.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, recognition's always nice. You know you've done something right when you get a bit of recognition. It's probably the position I play. It's not really a position you get a lot of recognition for in the game these days. It's probably a role where you go under the radar a little bit at times, so to get that recognition is nice. Obviously, when your fans, obviously they turn up week in, week out at home, and then we always say we see the same faces away from home, and we appreciate that so much. So obviously, to get the award from the fans for that first month is something I'm happy with, but I'm not just going to settle and rest on the fact that I've won Player of the Month for the first month. It's where we've got to kick on now, and the gaffer said our challenge now is we've got to the top of the league in the National League for the first time in this football club. The next challenge is to make sure we stay there, so that's what we're focused on doing.
Yeah, and you mentioned there, in terms of sitting top of the league at the moment, obviously still a long way to go in the season, but is that from Rob, you mentioned there, kind of a shared sort of mentality amongst the dressing room now that, it's not, we'll get carried away because we're top of the league and we're doing well, that you have to, in a sense, stay a bit level-headed as well and do what you need to do to stay there, like you said? Yeah,
100%. The conversation before the game Saturday was you've got a chance to go top of the league, and then today when we're back in, it was now you've got to stay there. Everyone's going to be coming for you. 3 or 4 games we've got this month of teams that are going to be right up there in the league, so they're going to be trying to knock us off our perch, and obviously, like I said, the longer we stay there the better, because it means teams are going to be after us, teams are going to have to change when they play against us. But I think we've earned that. I know we're obviously only 6 games in, but we deserve to be where we are because of the start we've had, and now our aim as a group is to maintain the levels, maintain the standards, and keep ticking games off and just stay up there for as long as possible.
Yeah, and you mentioned this month, obviously a few more difficult tests to come, starting on Saturday with Barnet, who, from what memory serves, I think were a lot of people's sort of title favourites and tipped to be competing right up the top end of there, as they are at the moment before the season. But at the same time, while everyone looks at it and says, you know, it's a tough test for yourselves, Barnet fans and Barnet themselves will be looking and saying, oh, we've got Gateshead away this weekend, you know, we couldn't have many harder games at the minute.
Yeah, 100%. We know even last year Barnet were right up there. Their aim this year is to be right up there again. We know it's not going to be an easy game. And that's the thing with this league. There's never really any easy games, but games like Saturday, the ones you want to play in there, coming up here knowing full well that we've started really well, they've started really well. And ultimately the aim of both teams is to be up there at the end of the season. It's not going to define us whether we get beat, whether we draw, whether we win, but it's a chance again to go and put another marker down like we did Saturday against the team who were sat top. But at the same time, they're going to be coming up here thinking we've got a point to prove going up there against them. With how we got on against them last year, we did the double over them. So it's not only us got a point to prove against them, they'll be coming up here thinking the exact same thing. So.